This is the American Lair Show. Thanks for coming. If you dress real prep, you might like this. If you dress real fresh, you might like this. It's like this. It's like this. This is definitely the American Lair Show. And I'm kicking it with your boy Dallas Penn. What's up with that, y'all? This guy is, he probably needs no introduction, but he is a 30 plus year low head. You know what I mean? Ralph Lauren collector. You know, he's in the culture. He is the culture. You know, sneakerhead, all that. Non-hype beast, unfiltered. It's your boy Dallas Penn. What's up, Dallas?
Peace, Dave Money. Peace.
Hey.
Peace. Los Internetos.
And he coined the phrase Los Internetos.
I would love to say that I coined the phrase, but that means that I made some money off of it.
Okay, so
and I ain't get no bread from that, so I just say it a lot.
He say it a lot. Thank you, man. First of all, thank you. Thanks for doing this. I think it's important for the culture. People have actually been asking. They said, "Yo, you got to get Dallas on here." So I had to find you and bring you, and here he is.
I totally appreciate the invite because I think this podcast is for the culture. I mean, just documenting our experiences and the way you're doing it, man, very important. Plus, there's nothing else out there like this. So you know it's got to be something good. When ain't nobody else even can copy it, can duplicate it. Thank you for having me on.
Okay, let's get right to it. Well, you know what I like to do first is before we forget. Let's tell everyone where they can find us on Instagram and Twitter or wherever we are. Where are you, Dallas?
I'm changing all my social media handles from Twitter to Instagram to YouTube to my name, Dallas, like the city in Texas, Penn, Penn, like Penn State. Several years ago, about 8 years ago, if you Googled Dallas Penn, the first entry that would come up was a city in Pennsylvania. A little Amish town, Dallas, Pennsylvania, had about 3,000 residents. So I've pushed Dallas, Pennsylvania back about 8 pages on the Google search.
You outranked the actual place.
Yeah, but they were Amish though, so they probably don't have Wi-Fi anyway.
So they don't have many Google searches for the month.
Yeah.
So it's a small feat. So it's really a small thing.
I know, but I'm feeling good about it.
Okay. And guess what? We starting to rank too. If you put in terms like preppy podcasts and some other similar terms, American Lairs.
That's big because then you didn't even use American Lairs as a search term. That's big. Now that means you are defining the genre.
Right. So y'all don't copy my flavor, y'all. Let me have something to myself. Damn.
No. They're gonna copy. But they can't duplicate.
Hey, listen. Let's get to it, man.
Sure.
So we said you're a collector. You're somebody who is concerned with what you wear, right?
Yeah. I think so.
Since when?
I would go back to going into high school. Actually, right before I went into high school. I went and I was a comic book collector, and I sold a few of my comic books in order to buy a Puma nylon tracksuit and a pair of suede Puma sneakers. So we're talking about like 1983, going into 84. And my mom kind of lost her mind. She was like, "Where did you get the money to buy this stuff?" And I was like, "Hey, I sold some comic books." And she was like, "No," because she had watched me from the time I had my own little allowance money, 7 or 8 years old, buying these comic books. So she had just watched me for several years, the way I collected them, the way you would take care of your comic book. You would put it inside a Mylar plastic bag with an acid-free cardboard backing board so that the spine wouldn't get any creases. You would really take care of that piece of paper, that rag. And, she thought that was crazy. But then when I was selling them to buy clothes, she was like, no, her little boy was growing up. And I really, really got into gear once I got into high school, I went to this a school in Brooklyn called Brooklyn Technical High School, and one of the finest girls in my class like gave me a kiss and told me that she would be my girl if I would dress better. And that just set me off. That was like I had to step my game up for real then.
And it started with Puma.
Well, Puma when I was 13, but now by the time I got into high school, by the time 84 hit, 84 going 85, man, if you was wearing Puma, man, you were a straight dinosaur. You need to be fossilized.
Oh.
Man, by that time, man, you had to have Etonic, you had to have Adidas. You couldn't. Suede Pumas were you were already old by then. You were already old looking by then.
That was a thing of the past.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Already. So I guess when I caught Puma, that must have been the comeback. I think like in the early 90s, some kids had like some suede purple Pumas and stuff. And I was like, whoa, man, yeah, these Pumas. So I guess that was like the second wave.
I would say that was the resurgence, because I did definitely in the 90s, in the mid 90s, I had caught a dope pair of Puma California, which was like this really nice tennis shoe, suede and mesh tennis shoe. I picked up a pair out of a Ross. I'd been out of state and found a mint green pair in a Ross. So that was definitely their resurgence in the 90s. But if you look at the mid 80s to the early 90s, Puma is off the map. They're not on any athlete's feet of note. Also, just the type of sneaker that people were favoring from that period. In the early 80s, we loved tennis shoes. Matter of fact, from the 70s to the 80s, the tennis shoe was a shoe to have, and that was actually considered the luxury sneaker. So, like, your Chuck Taylors, your Pro Kids, that was just your everyday summer canvas shoe. But if you had a nice pair of leather or suede tennis, all my heads from down south know what I mean when I say tennis. Like, you didn't have to say tennis shoes. You just had to call them a pair of tennis.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Then you were clean. You were good to go.
Yeah.
Some white on white tennis. And in the mid 80s, thanks to Michael Jordan, thanks to the Nike marketing machine, other players too, basketball shoes became the sneaker of choice for urban youth.
Wow. And you know what? It's crazy to kick it with you, because you were here like pre basketball sneak. Like you had an awareness and you had a taste and preference pre basketball. So I think it's cool when somebody can see a movement, before it happens.
I mean, think about it. It was us, Dave. It was black people who created the idea of lifestyle anyhow, because you typically wore sneakers to do sport.
Right.
You didn't wear sneakers to chill. You didn't wear sneakers to go to a bar and kick it. You wore them because you were going to do a particular athletic activity. So I mean, track shoes, they were track spikes.
Right.
And tennis shoes were particularly worn to play tennis. But also think about the type of sport tennis is, and who plays that? Who has access to that? Who has access to getting lessons? Who has access to being on that court? So the idea that you got tennis shoes on is a statement of luxury, maybe even a statement of class and wealth,
right?
Possibly,
right.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm a working class, middle class, aspiring black kid from black family, and we look at these symbols of luxury, of wealth, and we want those things. We relate to them as those things, and we want them because you don't want to. You don't want to be from the hood and also say I'm from the hood.
Right.
You want to be, you want to say, man, listen, I got a crib on Fifth Avenue or Park Avenue. I'm just here, visiting my family in the hood.
Yeah. And it's crazy in the hood. We always had those suburban connections. You had a cousin or something. I remember we had girls. We lived in the hood, and you would have girls who, old enough to drive, and they would come to the hood and car full of girls and hang out with the guys from around the way and everything, or your cousin from the suburbs always wanted to come out the way for the weekend and for the summer and all that.
Yep. They wanted to get a little of that hood flavor, and frankly, being from the hood, you want to get a little bit of that suburban flavor.
Yeah.
I can tell you, growing up in Queens, man, Queens had also great diversity and disparity of wealth. But there was a particular neighborhood, a particular area in Queens, Southeast Queens, Laurelton and Rosedale, and the folks that are from that area know what I'm talking about. But I come from Corona, Queens. And if I had bagged up a girl from Laurelton or Rosedale, Dave, I could retire.
Ah, you yeah.
All right. Her parents' crib had a basement, a furnished basement with carpet and
Wow.
stuff. Like
Wow.
that was you bagged a girl from Rosedale, bro, retire. That's it. Get
Yeah.
out the game.
That's it.
You good now. You set.
You set. You set. Nah, I can dig it, man. We lived it. Hey, look. Hey, check it out. How'd you start vlogging? You have an internet presence. How'd you start vlogging and doing the sneaker and boot review and all that?
In 2005, I started my weblog, DallasPenn.com. And I had been writing since before then. I had some published work in some little hip hop magazines and just been writing kind of on my own. And there was an emergence from web forums. The weblog emerged, and weblogs were so entertaining and so empowering because in mainstream media, even in the media that hip hop existed in, it was still so narrow. Opinions were narrow, and everything felt that it was touched by a corporate hand or guided by some kind of corporate presence. So with the emergence in 2004, 2005 of weblogs, of Google's weblog service, Blogger, although I had my own joint through WordPress, but weblogs just became the medium of communication. So my writing started to get into people's eyes. In '06, YouTube sprung up. And I started making some videos on YouTube, little parody videos to music. No real social commentary now, just kind of, a little bit of social commentary in the videos, but nothing serious yet. Just playing around with YouTube. And what I was starting to realize, even though I enjoyed writing, was that, man, we are post-literate as an entire culture. And what I mean by that is that not that we cannot read, because there's plenty of us who can read and love to read. But generally as a culture, if we can get our information off the tubes, we'd rather do that. And by tubes, I mean YouTubes, boob tubes. If we can get our information from dynamic visual media, moving images, we prefer that than flipping the pages of a book or even going to a Kindle.
Do you have a judgment about that? Is it good or bad, or is it just the times?
No, I think it's the times. I think it's what I think is fantastic. Ultimately, is that we're globally melding or melting or just we're forming into a single language global culture. And we ultimately may go back to the day of cave painting, of symbols to represent things.
Right.
I mean, think about what the emoji is. The emoji is a symbol that describes something, and it cuts across all kinds of communication lines.
Wow.
Someone that speaks Korean, someone that speaks English, share an emoji, and they know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah, you just broke that down. Dallas Penn, you brilliant man. Listen, it sounds like we're coming full circle, And check this
Absolutely.
out. When you said Koreans and emojis, I was talking on one episode about how, I got a lot of followers who are from like Korea, Japan, places like that, and they use hella emojis,
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because we all do the low thing, and that's our
one
bridge.
language,
Yeah.
one language, and that language is fresh. And that language is fresh, and we can be thankful to the folks who don't speak English for making those bridges, though, for trying to find these symbols that kind of connect our emotion, our passion, our likes, our dislikes. So it is a fantastic thing. Ultimately, it is a fantastic thing because anything that brings people together, I think, is generally a good thing, unless it's Donald Trump. But but again, he's found a way to even bring people together through emotion.
Right.
But just the things that brought our community together, Dave, I will always tell you that that's a great thing, a tremendous thing, because across state lines, across country lines, across continental lines, we found this connectivity. Because otherwise, Dave, be honest with you, I mean, the Low-Hay community in New York is probably the biggest there is, but it's still tiny. It's still a tiny, tiny, tiny little group. We like to think there's tens of thousands of us, but it's not. It's a few hundred.
Right.
All right. And then even to drill down further, it's about half of that is hard body collectors, hard body consumers. So we like to imagine, oh man, there's trillion billion of us. No, there aren't. I would like for there to be more of us. So I'm excited. I'm going to skip ahead and talk about what's being proposed to come from Ralph Lauren this summer. Is a concerted focus on retroing or reissuing previous designs. That's something that the brand hasn't done to a great degree. They've done it in teeny little morsels. They've done it with maybe a patch, like a cookie patch that went on some pieces a few years ago. They did a Bring It Back bear design. About 10 years before that, they had redone the sit down bear, but they don't do graphic design retros. They just haven't been into that. So this year they're proposing, images have been circulating where they're going to do that. And I'm excited because I feel like, man, we're going to bring a whole new generation, a whole new group of people into this lifestyle. People that, had seen this on their parents, on their older cousins, on their older brothers, had seen this stuff before. And people who haven't even seen it before, but will like the designs because they're just so splashy and graphic and colorful.
I have a question.
Yes. Yes.
Now, how do they plan to market these items? Because when I go back and look at like old RL ads, I don't see the sort of stuff that we were wearing. My time and before me when you guys were doing it, I didn't see that stuff in advertisements. So was that something that they
were advertisements. I mean, I can remember seeing print ads at the time that would have been in GQ, that would have been in like the New York Times magazine. I even have some old print ads, in my archives too, from the mid '90s, from the early '90s. So there was a print ad presence, but I mean, it's a good question. How are they going to market these items? I'm imagining this in my head, but I don't really know,
because
I just know.
It's like, because we know who it's for, right? But I guess I'm saying I've never seen like the stuff that that the low heads wear. I've never seen it like I've never seen like an old Snow Beach ad.
No, I've never seen an old Snow Beach ad, but I've seen old ads featuring the Universal patch. Mm-hmm. I've seen old ads featuring RL 2000 items. I've never seen the Snow Beach ad or a Snow Beach item in an advertisement. But when we say we know who it's for, Dave, to be honest with you, it's still not for us.
Damn. So what made
them want
to bring it back? Because I thought we the only ones crying about it.
Well, we're the arbiters of style. But the consumption will be just like, when 100,000 Jordans are released, or let's say the Yeezy shoe. The Yeezy shoe, 20,000 pairs are released.
Right.
All right. Maybe 1,000 pairs, maybe 500 pairs find its way to the hood. All right. But the majority of pairs end up with kids in the suburbs, with kids who desire the items that feel like they connect them to black kids.
Right. Good point.
Plus, these guys want to sell this stuff at first retail, Dave.
Right.
They don't want the shrink of people stealing it. They don't want the loss of this stuff going to an off-price retailer like Ross or Marshalls or TJ Maxx. They want this stuff bought at first retail, online, in stores, the moment it drops. All right? So, I mean, sure, there'll be plenty of black people buying this stuff, but it is really not for us. It's our swag being repackaged and commodified to the suburbs or to wherever rich people are.
Jules.
To whoever where rich kids are who want to look like black youths did 25 years ago.
Wow. Dallas Penn, you know your shit, bro. And I was going to say, man, I was listening to your new podcast, and I'm like, yo, this guy is good with words, man. So now you reveal that you are a writer, so it makes sense. You know, have you always been a writer? And
I was I was in college studying architecture, and my professor, I'm in my junior year, my professor was just like, he saw I was having a difficult time doing the work. Not that I couldn't do the work, but I was just having a difficult time following his rules. So I was doing my own thing, and I present in front of the class and give these kids a story. And the professor said to me, Dallas, if this class was called Talkitecture, you'd be the professor. But it's architecture. So get your ass back to work. Yeah. And then I kind of realized, I said, man, listen, this is not, I get to do this. I get to do architecture work during the day. And the architects I work for put me into college, but I really want to write. So, I mean, this was like, 92, 90, 93. I just started focusing on writing. Yeah. And I just started writing my own little zines and stories. And, I hand them out on the subway. Real talk.
I like that. And you mentioned architecture. So when you were in high school, you picked up drafting through an internship, right?
Actually, right inside high school. Right inside high school, they taught us how to draft. This Brooklyn Technical High School was one of these old city schools, which kind of gave you a trade skill in the school, and prepared you as most city kids would do, would go to work out of high school. The super smart kids they'd go to college, but most kids would get out of high school and they have a trade, and they become plumbers, mechanics, carpenters, tradesmen. And the school gave you trade skills along with science and math. And I was working the day I left high school.
Wow.
I was working the day I left high school.
It never stopped, huh?
No, still been working. Went to school, went to college, kept working, still working. Still working.
still working.
Yeah.
Still working. Still doing reviews, boot reviews and all that.
Absolutely. I feel like I've slowed down a bit on that right now. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to move some things, but I still, something comes out that I'm really desirous of. I still, I love this lifestyle, Dave. And I have another hashtag I love to use called Fresh to Debt. And Fresh to Debt means sometimes, Dave, man, listen, if you got any money left in the bank, then you ain't doing it right.
Oh man, I know some people who feel you on that.
You ain't living right. You ain't living right until you take that thing to under zero. Because anybody could get to zero, bro. Anybody could get to zero, Dave.
But it takes.
Who's gonna take it under zero?
It takes a very special man.
Who gonna get a call from the bank like, hey, excuse me, sir, you owe us some money right now?
Right.
Okay.
The obsession.
Transfer some money.
The obsession is real, man.
Yes, sir.
Look,
yes, sir.
You are you still into Low the same way you've always been? Wait, pause. Let's talk about Low a little more. How did you start?
Well, my very, very first piece was a sweater given to me by my grandmother. But she always gave me fly shit. for my birthday or for Christmas. And I wasn't obsessed with Low at the time. I just had a nice wool sweater, just a classic crest on the chest, beautiful wool sweater. But I can remember, I go back to this day where I'm heading to school. It's in the morning. And me and my buddies spot a kid on the subway. And he's wearing a windbreaker with a universal patch. But the windbreaker's color blocked. And it looks like a stick. It looks like a roll of Lifesavers. And the colors are just so vibrant and just so it's like everyone was in a shade of gray. Everyone else looked gray tone except for this kid. And I chased him down to get this jacket off of him. And we ran through this station in Manhattan, and we were knocking people off onto the tracks trying to get to this kid, and he got away.
Damn.
But from that point on, I was just like, I saw these things, and I had to have them. I had to be in them because they were just so beautiful. The colors are just so rich. And I've come to learn other lessons about like primary colors, red, yellow, and blue.
Yeah.
And the reason why they have Superman dressed in these colors and kind of what their significance is as towards power and towards vitality.
Yeah.
But that's
it's a color theory.
Absolutely.
Oh man,
absolutely.
We gonna have to talk some more, man. We got to talk about some things that might not make the episode. I think I just made a friend, y'all. friend of the show.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
So that got you started, and
that got me started. So we're looking at in my mind, we're talking 1986. Could be early 1987, around that time. So mid late 80s, and Polo also goes through this incredible phase during that time where you have the universal crest, then you have the anniversary cross flags, then you have the cookie patch. And these things happen, these designs and these symbols go on these pieces like one after the other after the other. And I was just like, yo, this is the most incredible clothing I've ever seen. And there were all kinds of signifiers for the clothing. Of course, there's the idea of the wealth or the opulence of somebody having this stuff, because again, polo, no one even knew what the sport was until Ralph Lauren put these things out.
Right.
No one had any idea what polo was. I mean, to tell you the truth, it's only played and consumed by the mega rich. Anyhow, it's golf on horseback, basically. I still don't know what it is.
Right.
But I knew if I had a polo ski jacket that I was qualified to go skiing in Aspen. Dave, I don't know how to ski. But the jacket empowered me to be able to do it.
Damn.
I don't know how to work a yacht. And I'm talking about a sailing yacht. I'm talking about one of the America's Cup yachts.
Yeah.
Nothing with with an engine. I'm talking about the joint where you got to pull up the
ropes,
sail.
You leaning
That's
into
right.
it.
The mizzen mast and all that.
Yeah,
but I
shit's
swear,
dropping, shit's swinging.
If you got on a yachting jacket, Dave, you are qualified to work on a yacht, to be part of a yacht crew.
Damn.
That's how authentic the clothing was to me and my generation.
Wow.
And there's nothing more important to us. I mean, there's other brands too that were authentic to lifestyle. North Face was built for you to go climb a mountain. Helly Hansen was built for you to go in the open seas, lobster fishing or shark fighting or whatever.
Now check this out. I get it. You saying these things, saying how the clothing connected you to a lifestyle. I get it coming from you, but the way, and no offense, but the way a lot of these cats were rocking it, do you think they shared those same ideas? Did it excite their imagination the same way? Because I see people, they just wear it different ways, and I wonder if they even care about the the so-called luxurious aspect that it connects you to.
I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and say absolutely, absolutely, because the wild thing, the funny thing is that all of us working class people that put this clothing on because we wanted to present ourselves as people who understood these luxury sports or these luxury lifestyle aspects. We were authentic to our lives. So the funny thing is, you wear a garment to say, man, I want to look like I know how to work a yacht. but the truth is, you go out in your everyday, and you go to your grind, and you pay your bills, and you live in a neighborhood that is on the dangerous side, because crime is rampant, because people are hungry and people are poor.
Right.
So you're actually more authentic than the garment on your back. Mm. And I think we didn't even realize we again wanted to present ourselves in a certain way, but we gave our authenticity rather to those items. Right. And that's what makes the item desirous now to the younger kids, and now to even another generation of people. Because the fact is, when I went after that kid for that jacket, he wasn't about to give that jacket away. And I have encountered many people who would fight to the death to retain their item. Polo, fila, whatever it was, would fight to the death to retain their item.
So it was really like that back then. I hear that people would try you. They ever try you, Dallas?
I'm gonna say that I was probably tried. I can't. It doesn't come to my mind because I've never lost anything. Mm-hmm. In that manner, I've lost stuff. I've lost stuff in different ways. I've lost stuff through carelessness. I've lost stuff to having a female companion leave my house and want to leave with a sweater on because it was cold in the morning. Mm-hmm. But I've never been stripped. I've never been robbed of something. But yes. Simply because during that time in this city, not just in New York, but during that time in DC, Philly, Chicago, law enforcement's main concern was monitoring the crack epidemic and monitoring the direct byproduct of that. So kids beating each other up, kids knocking each other over the head for a jacket, for a sweater, for a pair of sneakers, that wasn't on their radar. Mm-hmm. But particularly because it was black kids anyway. It was black kids doing it to each other anyway.
Right.
I mean, the same reason why we have the situation in Chicago we have. It would go on without even anyone noticing, if not for social media. But because it's colored people acting this stuff against one another is why it's never really addressed or dealt with.
Wow. Hey y'all, that's Dallas Penn. Check it out. We're gonna leave you with a cliffhanger, right? We gonna end this and come right back with another episode. Right? Dave_money3 on Instagram. Subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher. Dallas, tell them where you are.
Los internetos, please find your boy on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube. Dallas, like the city. Penn, Penn. But just Google internets, and hopefully I come up. I may not come up, but that's all right.
If enough of us start doing it, then maybe it happens. But anyway, y'all, catch us in part 2. We'll be right back.
Peace.
Once again, thank you for allowing me to share my obsession with you. It's been great. I can be reached at dave@americanlayers.com. Be sure to hit me up. Catch you next episode.